Overtime!
Are you ready for some football? You know, with the big game coming up next weekend, I thought now would be a great time to work on my Leland Quarterback arcade machine. Now, if you recall, a couple months ago, I picked this up for free. That's right, I got this thing for absolutely free. It was part of a 2-game pickup. I got 2 games for free. One of them was completely working. It's the Sly Spy back here. Which I've still got to put a little bit more TLC to do until it's completely done. It was perfectly working, got it for free. The other game I got from this pickup was this Leland Quarterback arcade cabinet, and it was not working. Now, I know what you're thinking. Look, it says Ms. Pac-Man at the top, but this was originally a Leland Quarterback arcade machine. Leland, the company, the corporation, shortly after they rebranded and renamed themselves from Cinematronics, I think they went through some sort of ownership change or whatever, and they released this game called Leland Quarterback, a football game. They released a couple different variants of it, like Team Quarterback and I think Elway's Quarterback, John Elway's Quarterback. Yeah, this was originally a Leland Quarterback arcade machine, and it's got a very distinctive sort of shape, and yeah, there's kind of no mistaking it if you know what you're looking for. But when it came to me, when I got it, it was not a quarterback machine anymore. It had actually been converted to Ms. Pac-Man, of all things. Now, Quarterback came out in 1988, I believe, and there's a bunch of manufacturing markings on the Quarterback cabinet here from 1988. And Ms. Pac-Man came out, I mean, most people will say 1981. I think it was really more like January 1982. And so however long this game stayed originally as a quarterback, it was later converted to Ms. Pac-Man, a game that came out almost 10 years before Quarterback, right? So at least 6 years, and it was probably more like 10 years when it got converted. And what's crazy to me is it doesn't have a bootleg Ms. Pac-Man PCB. It's got a legit Bally Midway board set and setup and everything, which is kind of ridiculous if you ask me. I mean, I would have imagined, they put a bootleg in this, but I guess, an operator, this thing stopped making money as a quarterback, and they still had a Ms. Pac-Man board set. Maybe the monitor in it, the original one, had died or whatever. So they threw it in here and to make it make money again. And if you look, if it'll show up on camera, there's a moderate amount of pack burn on this tube. So this thing probably spent longer of its life as a Ms. Pac-Man than it did as a quarterback. And anyway, it was at the seller's house, and they were moving, and they had to get rid of it. This was the last day, and so I was able to get it for free. As you may have seen in the pickup video, I'll put a link down in the video description below. The monitor does work. I was able to get the monitor working, but the board set won't boot. It just sort of has garbage, and I really haven't put a ton of time into troubleshooting this Ms. Pac-Man board set, since I already have one that's a working board set for my other restoration project, which is a different story. But anyway, I want to convert this back to a Leland Quarterback, especially, like I said, since I've got a Ms. Pac-Man in progress already. And there's quite a bit of work that we're going to have to do that deconversion, and that's what I'm hoping to do in this video. So there's a couple of things to kind of point out, a couple of things that I've done already. So I've been collecting parts and everything. I think I've got everything I need to convert this back to a quarterback. One thing that's already on the cabinet is a new control panel. If you saw my Christmas holiday special unboxing video, I worked out a trade and a sale with a fellow Claw Forums member, AstroSim, and I ended up with this original control panel that has, it's populated with all the original controls, and it's got the, mostly intact original CPO, and I traded him my control panel, which was a quarterback control panel, but again, had been converted to Ms. Pac-Man, so it was drilled, the old CPO was gone, it had, different controls and all that sort of thing. So I've got that mounted onto the cabinet for safekeeping for now. Another thing to kind of point out is this is an enormous monitor. This is a 25-inch monitor. The model is a 25K 5500, which is basically the 25-inch version of the Wells Gardner K4900. And now the 4900 is a very, very common monitor. I've got quite a few of them. I've worked on them quite a bit. I like the 4900. I'm comfortable working with it. This monitor is a little bit different. This is not that common, the 25-inch version, the 5500, and I think they actually made, was it the 5515 was a medium resolution version. This is a standard res monitor. But yeah, pretty much, pretty much the same except a little bit bigger. And I think this is actually the largest monitor that I own. I think my 4-player NBA Jam has a 23-inch K7000 if I recall. And I can't remember if my Golden Tee project has a 23-inch or 25-inch. But this is definitely, if not the only, it's the tied for the largest monitor that I own. So that'll be interesting to work on. The sides have been painted black. But I can see an outline of the original side art right here. Not sure how well that'll show up on camera. You can sort of see when the light catches the seam. And if you look really closely, yeah, and I don't know if this is going to show up, you can see the helmet of the quarterback right here. Side art, this is sort of a stripe on the helmet. So that side art is here, and it's a little bit dinged up, so it's probably not going to be perfect, but we'll try to take off at least the black paint that's covering up the decal. I want to minimize the amount of work I have to do on this thing because this is not a particularly valuable or rare machine or anything like that. But I love football, and it is that time of year where, you know, at least the college season's over and the NFL season is about to be done. So I thought to have some football goodness throughout the year. What better way than to get this machine going? So let me put this aside. So my son's football, and actually my high school football helmet from the 90s. And let's turn around and see what's going on again on the back of the cabinet. You may have seen this already in the pickup video, but we'll take a look at what's going on inside here. Again, the 25-inch K5500, and we've got a an original non-bootleg Bally Midway board set. So what I want to do is strip all of this stuff out. Everything that doesn't belong we're going to take out, which means we're going to take out the Ms. Pac-Man board set. We're going to take out the Ms. Pac-Man transformer power setup. We're going to rip out the old harness and then kind of have a blank slate to install everything back in. Like I said, I think I've gathered all the parts that I need. I've got a what I believe to be a working board set. I've actually got 2 harnesses. And I've got an original power setup that would have been in this cabinet. So, originally I was thinking of reusing the power setup, but then, I remembered this doesn't have what I need. This is an original Ms. Pac-Man 2 transformer power setup with the fuse blocks and all that sort of thing. And that's not what I need for Leland Quarterback. I need an isolation transformer to power the monitor, of course, but I need a switching power supply and all that sort of thing because I want to strip this out. And maybe I'll sell or trade this stuff eventually to somebody else, but I don't want to cannibalize and sort of rip out all the parts here and put together what I need. I was thinking about, and I actually went ahead and bought a switching power supply and a new isolation transformer, all that stuff. And I was going to sort of recreate what I needed to build a power setup for the Leland Quarterback. But then there was other things that I needed, like a volume pot and that sort of thing, and like harnesses for all that stuff. And I figured that was going to add up to be quite a bit of work and a bit of expense. And I actually found on Quarter Arcade, which is a website I bought from before, they sell a lot of used parts and that sort of thing. They had a quarterback harness and a power transformer power supply set up for a great price. So I went ahead and jumped on that. So we're going to kind of piece this whole cabinet together. And hopefully by the end, we'll have a fully working Leland Quarterback that we can play. So let's take apart everything that's inside this cabinet. So I'll start with the PCB, just it's probably the most fragile thing. And a Ms. Pac-Man PCB really is a Pac-Man board set. And if the sticker wasn't here, you would say that this says Midway Pac-Man. And then it has these 2 little daughter cards that are plugged into the main PCB itself. And then it's got this other board over here, which is really the Ms. Pac-Man daughter card. And I believe this one does say Ms. Pac-Man, although it's not immediately jumping out at me. It's got some ROMs and it actually has a CPU. I pulled the Z80 off of this before because I needed it for my my Pango. So let's go ahead and remove the screws here, holding the board set in place. And you might not know this, but football is really, really it's been a big part of my entire life. So I grew up, I played football from the age of 8. I played actually 15 seasons of competitive full tackle contact football. From the age of 8, I played youth football, pee wee football, and then high school football, and I actually played Division I college football for a couple of seasons, and then I went overseas and I played a season of actually college club football in the UK, which is sort of like, I guess, I've always said it's sort of like playing rugby here, right? And I played half a season of semi-pro football in the UK. This was back when NFL Europe was still a thing. And the national, the team in the UK was the Scottish Claymores. And at the time, and I played for the Domino's Pizza Oxford Saints in the developmental league for NFL Europe in England, which was the British Senior League. And back then with NFL Europe, they had a rule that the sort of host team or the national team in every country, so in the UK that was the Scottish Claymores, and in Germany that was the Rhine Fire, and whatever, they had to have, I think, some minimal number of players on the roster. It was maybe 8 players or so that were nationals of that country. So the Scottish Claymores had to have 8 British nationals on the roster, right, to comply with the NFL Europe rules. And they couldn't all be kickers, so they had things like the British Senior League to develop players, domestic players for that system. So anyway, played a lot of football growing up. My kids play football. I've coached football, so football was really my sport. I like sports in general. I played football, basketball, baseball, and some other sports here and there, but yeah, football was always the sport for me. So what I want to do next is take out the power transformer setup down here. But what's kind of a pain in the butt is the way the Ms. Pac-Man harness works. Most games have a whole bunch of, and there's some here, have a whole bunch of like Molexes and whatever that you can disconnect. I'll go ahead and disconnect this one. But not really for the power harness. So the power harness is hardwired, soldered to the transformers. If I can get this Molex to come off. There we go. So that goes there. And there's something tying it onto the back here. But the things are like hardwired into the to the transformers. And so I've disconnected as much as I can, but these bundle of wires follows up here, and it goes, there's some quick connects that connect it to the power switch that's up here at the top of the cabinet, but it goes all the way up to the marquee. So if I want to disconnect this harness, I need to disconnect it from the marquee. So let me go ahead and get up here, and we will take off this upper marquee bracket. Whoops. And go ahead and remove this marquee. There should be 3 screws, but there's only 2. So there goes that. I'm just putting things over on the workbench over here. And we will pull this Ms. Pac-Man marquee out. And this has been trimmed down in size to get it to fit. Oh man. It's really kind of stuck in there. I'm going to unscrew the bottom marquee bracket as well. So this looks like an original Ms. Pac-Man marquee that was unfortunately cut down and trimmed to fit the quarterback cabinet. It's the colors are nice and vibrant. It hasn't faded or anything like many Ms. Pac-Man marquees do. But there's a bunch of maybe superficial, but there's scratches on the, somebody like tried to scratch the artwork off of this, off of Ms. Pac-Man. I don't know if it'll show up right there, but this is reverse printed, so all you're doing is scratching the plastic. You're not scratching the paint off. So, yeah, that is that. So we'll put that over here. And coming in, looking at what's going on with the speakers and the marquee light, we'll whoa. That was one of the ears, and that fell on the ground. One of the ears of the Molex, which is not a big deal. So we've disconnected the marquee light. I don't know if this is original. Feels like it's not mounted in correctly. So, oh, This is like, is this zip tied? What is going on here? This is just floating in there. Look at that. How in the world? Okay, so this, this wasn't screwed in at all, and it was like magnetically stuck to the, the speaker. So that's ridiculous. Here's another piece of broken Molex ear. There's a screw that's loose in there. But my goodness. So maybe this was the marquee light from the Ms. Pac-Man that got transferred over because they didn't want to rewire anything. My goodness. And it wasn't even mounted in there. It wasn't even mounted. Oh, and it's broken. Here, I'll show you. One of the, they call these tombstones, the pieces that the fluorescent light plugs into. And see, it's all smashed up and broken. So we'll have to replace or repair that somehow. No big deal. Fluorescent lights are a pretty easy thing to do. So let's see, that disconnects this. This is the ground clip for the speaker. All right, so that's nice and free. And I don't know if these are the original speaker wires or what, but I bet you that's plugged. Wow, that's, all this plastic is like crumbling. Like the quick connect kind of came apart, the back part of it. That's weird. The whole plastic of that quick connect is just broken. Okay, so we got a naked quick connect right there with no housing. No big deal. But yeah, I wonder if this is the quarterback speaker or if this was a Ms. Pac speaker. It's kind of rusty right there. So this thing has seen a little bit of moisture. I believe it's a particle board cabinet, but it doesn't look like it's really swollen all that much. So anyway, come around here and we will continue taking these wires out. So hopefully my speaker wire is kind of loose. There we go, like that. How is it connected up there? There are these sort of mounting point things, these kind of plastic sticker things. Here's one right here. You won't be able to see the one that's way up top. But this is like it's like a sticky mounting point for zip ties. And there's one higher up that I want to be careful not to cut the speaker wires. I mean, I can always fix it if I do. But let me get some light. I'm trying to avoid bumping the neck board on the monitor. My goodness. So we'll go like this. All right. I think I did that without cutting the wires. And we've got another one to cut here. All right. Again, I don't think I broke the wire. So the upper part of the, grab a chair. The upper part of the speaker wire has been disconnected. Let's come over to this side up here and see if we can get this out. I was looking before, my head's going to be in the way. There's some quick connects up on the power switch. So we'll pull those off. There's one. There's two. And that doesn't have a zip tie mounting bit. It's got like a little wire loop, cable tie sort of thing. All right, that's going to need to be unscrewed. This is such an awkward angle. All right, here we go. See, that's what I was talking about. Sort of wire, I don't know what I forget what these are called. A wire tie, cable tie, something like that for cable management. All right, that's kind of starting to come down. We got another one right there. That doesn't match. The first one was white, this one's black. Another thing I like about this screwdriver that you see in almost all of my videos is it's got a little integrated flashlight in it. So And there's another one right here. Trying to grab these screws and keep them from falling. So yeah, I love this. I love this screwdriver. Such a simple thing, but you know, when you get good tools that you like, it's good to keep around. All right, and now coming back here, I think most of the power harness is free and can be pulled out. Get you a good angle, see what's going on here. So all of this is hanging out down here. The main power cord is hanging out in the bottom of the cabinet. All right. What else is hanging up? So we have a grounding strap that goes to the monitor, and I think it's daisy chained to the coin door. So we'll get that disconnected. It was tied into one of the legs of, or one of the screws mounting one of the legs of one of the transformers on this power setup. So that's good. And what's going on up here with this part of the harness? We got some stuff going on. There's another, I can feel another wire tie mounted on the back side of this panel. Oh man. Trying to do this blind, and for the life of me, I can't figure out how to remove that cable tie. You know, that one's going to have to be cut, this zip tie. That piece of paper I just bumped, come on, here we go. Actually, they went to the trouble of stapling in the, I don't know if you can even see it, the Ms. Pac-Man instructions. They stapled back into the inside of the cabinet, transplanted it, I'm guessing, from an original. So let's see, yeah, so let me come around. I'm going to come around to the front of the cabinet. Oh, if I can do it this way. Reach through the coin door and try to disconnect this cable tie. There we go. And there's a whole bunch of more stuff going on over here. Going to the coin door. So why don't I cut, and I'll get all this wiring removed, and then we'll be ready to take the transformer setup out. So I'll come right back. Okay, I think I've got the harness completely free and clear and disconnected from everything else. It was plugged into a coin door harness, which I'm guessing is also a Ms. Pac coin door harness. This conversion, the operator that did this actually went through a lot of trouble. They did not do a quick and dirty conversion. So the last bit, I mean, other than the sticker here and maybe a few other things, the last bit to remove is this transformer assembly. So let me disconnect this real quick. So that's the last mounting screw, and this thing's not loose yet. Oh, I guess it was. Maybe there's one right here that's a little bit longer, maybe two that were kind of acting as cleats sort of holding it in. So let me pull this out and get this, just this whole harness. It's crazy that it doesn't disconnect. I'll put this over here on the workbench. All right, there we go. I think that is most of the Ms. Pac stuff, again, except for maybe the instruction or the dip switch settings there, and there might be a coin door harness in there. That's Ms. Pac, but yeah. So what I want to do next is take a crack at stripping the black paint off of the side art decal. So let me get set up on the tripod so you'll be able to kind of see how I do this. I'm going to go and grab my citrus strip. All right, I've got my glove on. I've got my chip brush, and I've got my bucket O citrus strip. You saw this new container that I found in a previous video. And I'm just going to paint on a layer of citrus strip. I'm going to try to follow the outline of the side art, which goes down to about here. I'm going to avoid putting it on to the black paint. I don't know, maybe this is a dumb idea, but I'm going to try to just citrus strip the paint off of the decal and not the black paint on the side of the cabinet. Again, I'm trying to do this as quickly and easily as possible. So yeah, thin coat of citrus strip. I'm going to leave it on for maybe 5 or 10 minutes. I'm going to watch it closely and see if it starts to bubble. While that's going, I'm going to start cleaning up the cabinet a bit. I'll vacuum out the inside. I'll clean the plexi bezel. So yeah, let me paint this on, and I'll come back and show you what it's looking like. Hopefully we're going to see some quarterback side art. Okay, I got the whole side covered. And so I painted a layer of citrus strip onto the entire side. I tried to get sort of detail in the corners. I don't know how this is going to go. And then I let it sit for about 10 minutes. And I can see it starting to wrinkle up. So I've got my plastic scraping tool here. I've got my trash can on wheels ready to go. And I'm going to take a little experiment and see if we get the paint to come off of the side art. Oh, yeah, that's not good. Okay, I think it ate through. Yep, okay. Well, that was a bit of a failed experiment. I think the citrus strip is eating through onto the side art. That's too bad. Unless it was like this originally, but I mean, the paint's coming off for the most part, but so is some of the color from underneath. So let me see how, and it looks like I can tell, like the red and the blue on the jersey of the player is coming off. So anyway, that's disappointing. So we'll try something else on the other side, but let me go and strip the rest of this off, and then I'll get some, I don't know, isopropyl or something to kind of, stop the reaction. But yeah, the citrus strip ate through, and I guess the inks are, yeah, I can sort of see, yeah, look at that. It's taken the ink right off of the side art. So I feel like this is a lost cause, but I'll clean everything up here, and I don't know, we'll figure out what to do next. Okay, quick update. I cleaned up the remaining citrus strip and black paint as well as I could with some isopropyl alcohol and paper towels, and unfortunately, as you can see, virtually all of the colors have been stripped off. I don't know if the ink that Leland used was just really poor quality, but around here there should be a ton of blue and red, and there should be some gray kind of around it. Obviously we've got some green down here for the field, which seems to be the most, the strongest color remaining, and there should be more like yellow down here, maybe some red as well. So, really disappointing, but what are you going to do? I could go crazy and try to clean it up as much as possible, but I think I'm going to leave this sort of as is, because again, this is really just going to be a garage game, so not going for anywhere close to a museum quality restoration here. Maybe someday I'll find, if somebody reproduces or whatever the side art, throw them on, but I'm not really worried about that. You can still tell what game it is, right? The material itself is fine, but the inks that were used to print this just weren't great. And over here, what I tried to do was use another technique of just isopropyl alcohol and magic erasers, and I was able to cut through the black paint, but the same thing happened. Immediately start taking up the color underneath. So that technique with the magic erasers and isopropyl is much more labor intensive than that's why I just did it sort of in a test spot here. Much more labor intensive than the citrus strip. So I think with this side, I'll just put the citrus strip on, I'll strip the paint off, and probably will likely wind up with an outcome similar to the first side. So that's what I'm going to do next. I've been cleaning the tube, the face of the monitor. This had some of the most caked on nicotine that I've ever seen. I had to scrub and scrub and scrub and scrub and scrub, but I think I'm basically all the way there now, getting it clean. So yeah, so let me keep working on this side, and I'll let you know how that side turns out. All right, well, stripping the black paint off the second side turned out about as well as the first, unfortunately. But, you know, them's the breaks. It is what it is. I don't think there's any technique I really could have used to strip the black paint off without also taking most of the inks off of this side art. So it's unfortunate, but I'm not going to lose any sleep over it because really at the end of the day, I got this cabinet for free. And it's just really going to be a garage game and not a sort of featured showcase restoration or anything like that. So now that we've got all of the Ms. Pack stuff removed from the cabinet, I think we're about ready to start reinstalling all of the quarterback bits and pieces. So last night I did spend a bunch of time going over the harness and everything. So I really have kind of two harnesses. I have a complete cabinet harness that I got from AstroSim on Clov. And then from Quarter Arcade, I got a cabinet harness and a power harness. Now, the cabinet harness from Quarter Arcade wasn't in that great a shape, and I knew that going into it. You know, been sort of, I think, hacked up a bit, which is fine because I've got the one from AstroSim. But I am going to use the power harness that I got from Quarter Arcade because that's the only one I have, and it came with the power supply assembly here. Like I said, I did spend a bit of time sort of going over everything. You see this page from the manual that actually AstroSim printed out and included with the package he sent me, which was great. So I went through everything and just made sure that all the wiring was present and sort of wired up correctly because you don't want to do something, get something wrong, especially with power and everything's good to go. I had to make a few repairs. There were some wires that were nicked or cut a little bit that had to be replaced. So you see there are some bits of heat shrink tubing, and I put some new connectors on stuff. What else did I do? Oh, so the monitor power plug had been cut for some reason. It had been removed, so I put one back on. I reused an old one, actually, just the housing, crimped on new pins. That should be good to go. I kind of rewired or changed the harness a bit. I modified the harness to work with actually this the Ms. Pac-Man marquee light that was sort of just magnetically hanging out in the cabin. I think the operator that did this conversion actually took the marquee assembly, the fluorescent light fixture from a Ms. Pac-Man and put that into this cabinet. But the connector is a little bit different, so I rewired the harness or changed the harness connector for that. And yeah, oh, one more thing that's sort of a little bit interesting. According to the manual here, there's supposed to be an interlock switch as the only power switch in the cabinet. And if you come over to the cabinet, whoop, the gimbal will cooperate. There are a couple holes right here that I think where the interlock switch bracket would have gone, but that's not here. And instead, if we come up to the top, there is a sort of more traditional power switch that's been mounted up here. So that's kind of what I'm going to run with. I actually would prefer to have a real externally accessible power switch like that to turn the cabin on and off, rather than only having an interlock that you have to take the back door off to operate. So yeah, I think that's going to be good to go, at least for the power. I went over everything in the cabinet harness too, and there's pages in the manual that sort of go through everything. A little bit confusing, but I think it's all kind of sorted out in there. The biggest trouble that I had was with these two white wires here. For the life of me, I couldn't figure out what they were for. They seem to be in the speaker circuit, and I'm thinking, did this have the option for like stereo speakers in some different versions of the cabinet or whatnot? But it actually is supposed to go to the volume pot right there. And this also came with the order I got from Quarter Arcade. So this is like a service switch to add free credits, from the inside when you're working on it. And that's the volume pot right there, and just attaches to those tabs on the back. So I think I've got everything figured out. I think everything is good to go. So why don't we come over here, get mounted on the tripod, and we can start installing all the quarterback stuff back into this cabinet, starting with the power supply assembly. Okay, the power supply assembly has been reinstalled. The marquee light fixture has been installed. The wires have been run. And let's see, I plugged in the marquee fixture. I plugged in the power switch. The monitor is not plugged in, but I do have the ground sort of daisy chain ground strap connected. And I think we're ready to fire this up and test it. I've got my multimeter set to AC volts, and I've got the probes plugged into the connector where the monitor power connector. So let me go and plug in the cabinet, and we're gonna hope to see something around 120 volts AC right there. So 3, 2, 1, and 118, 119. So that's pretty good. And I heard something coming around from the front. Let's see if we can, and sure enough, our marquee light is lit. So that's great. Okay, so let's check our DC voltages. Obviously, we'll want to do that before plugging in our PCB. So let's get back on the tripod. And there isn't really a good way. Let me kind of come in a little bit closer so you can see. There really isn't a good way to connect the clip on the probe. So I'm going to try to very, very, very carefully do it like this. And yeah, let's say right there and right there. And we're at about 5.15 at the power supply. So that should be good. Yeah, I'm happy with that. You know, we want 5 volts. Actually, let me, now that I think of it, let me check the other voltages as well, just to double check. So here's my ground, and that should be -5. -4, that's a little low. And 12 is 10.91. Okay, if things don't work when I power it up, I'm going to suspect that power supply, and we can go ahead and replace it if it doesn't work. But the voltages aren't unsafe, they're just a little bit low. So let me go ahead, I'm going to plug this in, or I'm going to put the PCB in, connect the rest of the wires, and we'll be ready for a full-scale test. Okay, I think I've got everything wired back up. I mean, at least I hope I do. I need to do a little bit more cable management and use those cable ties or whatever to mount the wires in place, but I think I've got it all wired up. I'm a little bit uncertain about the utility panel. I might have the volume pot backwards. We'll sort that out. The last thing I need to do, and maybe you see I've been watching Brandon's stream on Twitch while I've been working on this. I just got it muted now, so I need to connect the monitor, the video cables, and this is a bit strange. I don't have any other games that are like this. It's sort of split into two pieces. I think this connector, which I believe that says M1, is RGB, but the green is all faded out, so it looks more like red, gray, blue. And this, I think, is ground and the two sync wires, and they're sort of split into two 3-pin connectors, which is, like I said, not what I'm really used to seeing. So I'm going to go ahead and try to plug this in here. All right, it's not going in yet. All right, that's probably fine. And we got this one. And I know this monitor works. I haven't capped it. I probably need to at some point, but it'll probably be okay for now. And I know that's a lot of probablys. I've probably got this wired all together properly. It's probably going to work. If it doesn't, the number one thing that I'm going to suspect is the power supply. So, and I've got spare switching power supplies that I can utilize and replace. So let's get ready to fire this up for the first time. I always debate whether to show on camera the front or the back when I do this sort of thing, and but I figure showing the back makes more sense, because if there's going to be fireworks, it's going to be coming out of the back. So I'll keep an eye on the front, or maybe I should stand back too. This is always a bit of a roll the dice. So let me go ahead and plug the cabinet in. All right, nothing yet. And I'm going to throw the main power switch. So here we go. Keep your fingers crossed. 3, 2, 1. What's going on? I hear a little bit of a whine. I hear deflection or chatter. Interesting. I don't see any LEDs. I'm not sure if they're supposed to be there. Nothing's on fire, which is a good sign. I don't see any LEDs. I'll just tell you what the screen looks like. Actually, I'll bring you over here. I don't think it's working, unfortunately. I don't know if you can hear. Is that the flyback? Yeah, it's definitely the monitor is whining a little bit. So we might be in the market for a new flyback. Hopefully the K5500 uses the same flyback as the 4900. So that's what I got in the screen. Oh, maybe the game is working, and that's just a sync issue. So let me try adjusting the sync. Grab my TV adjustment tools. I got these new ones that Dell recommended. I mean, I've been using them for a little bit. But speaking of Dell, let's see. Horizontal shift, vertical position. I think this is vertical hold. I need to get my mirror set up. Let's see. Does that make a difference at all? Yep, a bad difference. How about that? Did it just die? What happened? Whatever happened, I lost any kind of picture. Turn the lights off and see if I still have net glow. Maybe this flyback is dying. Let's see. Yeah, I think I've lost I think I've lost neck low. That's not good. No, I have neck glow. I have neck glow. I have neck glow. This is good. Okay. What is going on? What is going on? Try adjusting the brightness. See if that does anything. There we go. Okay. We got something. We got something. Whoa! And the whining stopped. Okay. We got messed up graphics, but let's see. Yeah, the game is playing. It's upside down, which is interesting. Okay, here we go. It's upside down, and the colors need to be adjusted. That could be a monitor, monitor issue. Let me try actually messing with the colors real quick. All right, I think I got the monitors dialed in best I can, and I just flipped the yoke wires, so it should, in theory, be displayed properly now if it comes back up. And yeah, this monitor needs to be rebuilt. Oh, let me flip the other axis too. Hang on. Okay, after a bunch of adjusting, this is about as good as I can get the monitor looking right now. All the colors are there, red, green, blue. They're really washed out. I'm having trouble adjusting the black levels. I think the flyback's on its last leg. When I adjust the focus, it does adjust the focus at the low end, but it changes the brightness too. So at some point I'm going to rebuild this monitor. I'll do a cap kit at a minimum. I'll probably end up replacing the flyback, assuming that K4900 flyback is compatible with the 5500. Fingers crossed on that. And yeah, I'll get the B+ dialed in, whatnot. But like you can see a bunch of artifacts here that I'm hoping I can fix with just a rebuild. I probably need to rejuvenate the monitor. One thing I really don't like is, let me turn on the house lights. One thing I really don't like is you can really see that burn, right? So the field being green, green is not a great color to cover up screen burn, it turns out. So yeah, we're going to be dealing with that. But like I said, this is not going to be any kind of showcase cabinet or what have you. So I'm not going to lose a ton of sleep over this. What I am going to do is at least toss the marquee on. So let's do that. We'll scroll up here. All right. We'll get Dell's mirror out of the way, which is super helpful. I think he is still selling these only on Facebook Marketplace, maybe. Come on. All right. Yeah. So, but yeah, we can start a game. It's on free play. Sound's working. It's a working game. Can't complain about that. So yeah, I got to that's not even centered there. Come on. Gotta get this monitor going, what the heck? Okay, actually, I think, again, the operator that did this conversion really went above and beyond. I think they added these cleats here on the ends to kind of fill in the gaps of the Ms. Pack marquee. because the quarterback marquee that I have won't fit with these in. So we kind of carefully remove them. This one's kind of breaking, which is not great, just in case they are original. There we go. So now we should be able to get our marquee in. And I think the high score list is not going to work right because, yeah, see, it's got... Oh my goodness. What in the world? Well, let me just stick this in there for now. And we got light bleeding on the side. Oh my gosh. I'm just going to put this on. And there. But yeah, you can see the light's bleeding out of the side. So I'll figure something out for that at some point. Maybe I'll try to put these side pieces back in. But the way they were in, I couldn't even get the marquee in. So anyway, we'll do this and then we'll play just a little bit. I've kind of had this idea of, and I don't even want to talk about it because now I feel like I'm committing myself to it, of, do you remember back, you know, I don't know when they did this, late 90s, the WWF, back when it was called the WWF, during the Attitude Era, used to do a, like an alternative halftime show during the Super Bowl, right? They called it Halftime Heat. And I remember, I think they did it once live and then maybe another time they did it pre-recorded. But anyway, I remember it was like one time it was The Rock versus Mankind. And I thought that was great because I love football, but I've never enjoyed the halftime show. But yeah, okay, well. Let's see if we can set this up where there's minimal glare. Anyway, so I was thinking about doing a recording or playing live this game during halftime of the Super Bowl, but I don't know if I'm going to have time to get this monitor rebuilt before then. But let's go really, really quickly and play a tiny bit. I think it's, like I said, it doesn't have the high score list here. Because the board is supposed to have a battery, an old lithium battery. It was removed by AstroSim for shipping. I have a replacement, but I haven't soldered it in yet. It's basically a lithium AA battery that gets soldered to the board. So that's probably why it's stuck on this high score list, I'm guessing. So, man, look how bad that burn is with this. So anyway, let's take a look at the control panel. It's kind of interesting here. Rather than having a set of controls for player 1 and player 2, there's different controls for offense and defense. So offense is always on the left in blue, defense is always on the right in red. Both setups have a 8-way joystick and really one action button, but it's ambidextrous for left and right. It's action, it's not different buttons. But the offense has this additional little mini joystick here that I've always called the flick stick. I don't know if this is the right thing to call it. This is used for punting, passing, and kicking. You control both by pulling it back and then letting it go. You control both the sort of power and the angle of where it's going, okay? So this is set to free play, so let me just go ahead and start. Well, let me kind of coin up to get it out of this sort of state. Well, let me reboot the game. Like I said, it's stuck on this screen, which is probably because of the battery. So let me come up just a little bit here. And yeah, so I'll play a tiny bit here just to sort of show what's going on. It's on free play like it says right there. So there's a 2-player game. We'll hit bypass for both. Here we go. Maybe some of the buttons need adjusting. Okay, let me try kicking. All right. And now do we switch sides? Now here we go. Oh, I dove. That was not great. Okay, I guess the return team is technically defense. So, gotta buy time. All right. Yeah, the screen just is getting strange. Let's go shotgun bomb. I don't know. I don't know what's going on here. Here we go. Okay, let me try throwing a pass. There we go. Look at this. He could go all the way. Streaking down the sidelines. Nobody in front of him. Touchdown! Look at that. Touchdown offense. Or touchdown New England! That's my team! New England versus Seattle. It's like, what was that, Super Bowl 49 maybe? Anyway, I think that's going to be enough. I'll do a gameplay of this at some point. I don't know if I'm going to do my own version of Halftime Heat or what, but so yeah, that's just a little taste of Leland Quarterback. You know, not the greatest game in the world, but you know, football is, in my opinion, the greatest game in the world. Tecmo Bowl was always my jam, but I guess this is better than nothing. And once I get the monitor sorted out and the controls dialed in, maybe we'll have some fun. So anyway, if this is your first time checking out the channel, welcome. Thank you for watching. Hit that subscribe button. I release new videos basically every Sunday. Sometimes, you know, I keep saying shorts in between, but I haven't really been doing a lot of that lately. I need to get back to that. If you like this video, hit the like button, leave a comment. Share this video with anyone you think that might be interested, or maybe they have a memory of Leland Quarterback that you want to spark. And if you really, really like the video, click on the join button down below to learn more about what it means to become an Overtime Arcade channel member. It's a great way to support the channel. It really is not expensive, $1.99 a month, which is basically 7 cents a day. You get access to some awesome perks like a monthly members only live stream, early access to all new videos, and you get into our private members only Discord, which is a lot of fun. We are approaching 50 channel members. I'll do probably something to celebrate that when it happens. Anyway, I'm going to wrap it up here. As always, I'm Charlie. Thanks for watching Overtime Arcade, and I'll see you next time.
Overtime!